everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about comfortable designer heels. So I'm not sure if you can use the word comfortable with high heels together, but I have tried on quite a bit of heels in my search for the perfect comfortable pump because I will not buy designer heels if they're not comfortable, since there are way cheaper alternatives to butcher my feet without spending $600 to $1,000. Alright, so comfort is all relative, right? But for the height and for the beauty, these four brands here are going to be the most comfortable that I found in my opinion, with an additional bonus brand of one that you might not think typically makes comfortable shoes. So stay tuned. Alright, so the first pair of comfortable designer heels are none other than this pair of Manolo Blahniks, and this is in the BB pump style. So my shoe is in the 100mm heel height, or 4 inches, and they come in a variety of heel heights if you're not comfortable with something so tall. This is just a classic signature pump that you can take to the office or just wear anywhere, and I found that because this shoe is in the suede leather, it's actually more comfortable than their leather alternatives, just because suede tends to stretch a little bit more and have a little bit more give to it. Alright, so the second pair of comfortable designer pump is by the brand Gianvito Rossi. So this is the plexi pump I have here, and this is also in the 100mm heel height. Because of the plexi, it can give the appearance that your toes are getting cramped in the shoe. Because of the plexi as well, and this little triangular toe area, it really elongates your legs and just make them look so slim and so long. Also, these plexis may look uncomfortable. However, I found that when you try them in, they actually mold to your feet and they don't actually feel as uncomfortable as they look. So these Gianvito Rossi plexis also come in an 85mm heel height, which I actually wish I bought because they look and they feel a lot more comfortable. Something to note if you're considering buying either the 100 or the 85 is that when I tried the 85mm on, the plexis actually deformed a lot more on the side. I'll insert a picture on the side here versus the 100 where it does not do that. So I don't know if just because of the softness of the plexi is different or the angle of the inclination of the feet, but I would highly recommend trying on these pumps in store versus buying it online. So the third pair of comfortable designer heels is by Chanel. So what I love about Chanel shoes and Chanel heels is because the leather is just so soft. This one is in a soft calfskin, and you can see the wrinkling on the leather actually, which is not for everyone. They just feel very comfortable, and when your feet goes in, it almost feels like it's being cushioned, which I love. And of course, you can't beat the classic design and this beautiful pearl on the back of the heel. So these heels are actually in the 85mm heel height, which is a little bit shorter than the other ones. Okay, so comfortable designer heels number 4 is these Valentino rock studs. So Valentino shoes, I know they're a little bit out of fashion now with the rock studs. However, they're very comfortable for the heel height of 100mm. I think the main thing that's really making them so comfortable is because of the caging around your feet, which is going to make it feel a lot more secure, and it doesn't put so much pressure on the toes. And I think they're a little bit wider as well, which would be more comfortable if you have wider feet. So the final and bonus pair of comfortable designer heels is actually by Christian Louboutin. I know he's not known for doing comfortable shoes. On the contrary, he's actually known for doing uncomfortable but beautiful shoes because of the red sole. What makes this pair of cornmeal pumps so comfortable is that the toe box is a lot wider than any of his other heels. And I think that just really makes a huge difference in the comfort when compared to, say, his Pigalles or the Pigalle Folies.
Here is a shot of all the shoes for comparison.
So 2 other brands to consider when buying a comfortable pair of pumps is Jimmy Choo, which I've heard makes comfortable shoes. However, when I tried on their classic style, similar to the Manolo Blahniks, I didn't find it as comfortable as the Manolo, but it could just be a personal preference. And another brand is Stuart Weitzman as well. I just don't own any of their pumps, unfortunately. I only have their boots. It's very important to note that when you're buying heels, it needs to be the perfect fit. It can't be too big or too small.
You definitely do not want to be buying heels that are loose or big, since you'll force your toes to overcompensate to keep the shoes on, which will be bad for your feet. It would also affect how confidently you walk, and you may lose a shoe on the stairs. Not in the Cinderella way, but in the twisting your ankles kind of way. But what happens if you bought shoes that may be just a bit snug and you want it to be more comfortable? Well, here are my 5 heel hacks for comfort.
So tip number 1 is to use these ball of foot cushions by foot pedals. It's very important where you place it. As you can see here, I actually cut out sections of the foot pedal because you don't want to make it so that it's going to create additional crowding in the already constricted toe box. So I cut out all of the foam cushion around the toes, so that way you're going to get that support on the ball of your foot. However, you're not going to lose any more of that cramped toe area. So tip number 2 is to actually wear nude stockings when you're wearing your heels. So I know this seems super old-fashioned, but hear me out. So it's very important to pick the right stocking. So it needs to be not glossy, it needs to be matte, it needs to be close to your skin color, and lastly, it needs to be very sheer, so like a 15 denier preferably. And what this is going to do is that it's really going to minimize all friction. Your feet is just going to slide into the shoe with no issue, and it's going to minimize the amount of rubbing and any sort of discomfort that you feel, a lot more so than just feet on leather.
So I have nothing on the left and stockings on the right. It's really hard to get your feet into the Gianvito Rossi plexis since the plexi really sticks to your skin and it really requires a lot of adjusting, whereas on the right side, it just really slides right in.
So tip number 3 is actually using a blister defense anti-friction stick. This one is by Dr. Scholl's, and this is almost like a little lip balm, except it's a balm for your feet. So you would apply this on your feet before you put your shoes on, and it's just gonna almost act like a dry lubricant, and it's gonna protect your feet in those areas against rubbing, friction, and blisters. Tip number 4 is something that most of us should already know, but in case you didn't, it is this thing called moleskin that is just wonderful. So what this is almost like a little furry sticker, and you would cut this in the size that you need to, and then you would actually tape it onto your feet. So that way it's going to protect the feet area where you have this placed against any blisters or any rubbing. It's really good on the go in case you do develop a blister or it becomes really sore or raw. So the last tip is for shoes that are too tight around the toe box. So you can get it professionally stretched out at a cobbler, or if you want to do something at home like a DIY. What I did was I would put on a very thick pair of socks, and then I would wear these shoes around in the house to stretch out the toe area a little bit over time. Of course, different leathers are going to stretch differently. So suede has the capacity to stretch the most, followed by smooth leathers, and patent leather is not really going to stretch much at all. So alternatively, you can also wear the thick socks, and you could use the hair dryer just to soften up the leather as you wiggle your toes.
Okay, so now let's talk about the heel height and how high you should go.
So I read somewhere that 7 centimeters or 3 inches is the height that podiatrists recommend buying shoes under that height, because anything more is going to be bad for the bones of your feet and your ankles. However, I think it's all about balancing the beauty versus function, and it's about finding the height for you that is an acceptable beauty to function / pain ratio. And what I find is that 85 millimeters is that area for me, which I feel like is comfortable but yet still beautiful. So those are the 5 designer heels that I found to be the most comfortable. Please let me know if your experience is similar or different, and hopefully if you like this video, please give it a like, a comment, or a subscribe. It would really mean the world to me. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I can see you in the next one.